Hi, I'm Stacy Pingree, founder of the Legacy Wealth Podcast and Radiant Financial Group. Thanks so much for joining us today. I have an amazing guest with us today. He is really what happens when you find somebody who's made a career out of really getting to know people. Brian, welcome.
Yes.
My guest today is Brian Antenbring, and I just want to welcome you from the Northwest.
Yeah. I'm was born and raised in Canada. Don't hold that against me, but
Our neighbors to the north.
Our neighbors to the north, yeah. But raised them here, and I've always wanted to kind of come down south. I always had this plan of being like 6 months down here, 6 months up there, and even as a little kid, I often wondered why would Americans want to live in like Minnesota or something like that when you can go down south? So.
As a Montana girl, I wanted the same thing.
Yeah. So that came into fruition back in 2007 or so, and been down in Phoenix ever since. So.
Yeah. Well, we talk on this show about building legacy, and I think being such a heavy-driven people business, I'd love to hear hear you share just about what you built in Canada and and North America. Now, I really and just what that means, to make teams work and companies scale.
Yeah. My story is failed entrepreneur in the 90s. Really, tried a bunch of things. I got into a company that I started bringing wood products in from Costa Rica. And I did this. I was down in Costa Rica. I was dating my wife at the time. My last day down there, I'm like, I got to find a gift for her. So I went to these markets and I found these sort of wood products, and I thought that was great. So I found out that what I bought her was a cigar box, unfortunately, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we still have it now. And then I realized, boy, I could bring this back to Canada and sell this stuff. And it's like, so where do I start? We're in the 90s. Okay, this is pre-internet.
Yeah.
How do you do that? So I just thought maybe I'll just contact the consulate, the Costa Rican consulate. And so I did. And they're like, hey, I want to get some products from I just need some help to find out where they're at. And they said, okay, sure. And they started sending me these manufacturers and these names, and I had to fax. So I did the old fax. So I faxed down there and saying, hey, I'm looking for product. They would fax back in Spanish. And I'm like, okay, this is a problem. So then I got somehow translated a fax, and that's how we were communicating. And then one of them sent their whole product line. And I'm like, that's the stuff I want to bring in. And so I was in third year university at the time, and I worked at Pepsi driving a forklift. So I had money, and but I didn't. I had enough money to pay for my university, but I got a student loan anyways. Yeah. So I was kind of this rich guy on campus, but in a fake way. Yeah. And but I used those proceeds to buy all this product. So I brought them up. And I had a little kiosk on a Mother's Day in a mall, and they flew out like hotcakes.
Oh my gosh!
And then that Christmas, I said, I'm going to expand. I want to put 3 locations, and so I hired all my college buddies to like, okay, you're going to manage this, and you're going to hire it. So, and at the Christmas, and the one location I was doing, I did $50,000 in 6 weeks of sales.
Oh my gosh! In the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s, and it was at that time it was a big, it's a lot of money, right? And this guy, I was across Foot Locker at the store, and the guy says, "Man, you guys are pretty busy out here. Like, what'd you do yesterday for sales?" And I said, "Well, we did like 5,000." And he just like, "We didn't do 5,000 in sales."
Holy cow!
And so I was like, I was just, young and dumb, and I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. That's and then it was so successful. I took night classes, and then I flogged the product into retail across Canada, and I built it up where about 2 years later, I got out of the business because I had a choice to make, because I brought in my future brother-in-law, and so to do business with family, got to be careful. And I made a choice. I said, okay, this wholesaler wanted to buy me out. So I sold in about 2 years, I sold this out. But I had it in all kinds of retail stores all across Canada.
Crazy.
I took night classes and I flogged the product in the day. and I just, it just kind of wung it. And then, so I got out of the business, I sold that business, and I bought an advertising business. So after that, for the proceeds, I bought an advertising business, I bought an apartment, got married, paid off all my student loans, and I bought this company.
How old are you at this point?
I'm 20. I'm now 24.
Wow.
So yeah, 24. Ish, maybe, yeah, 24.
Yeah.
And so I bought this advertising company, started doing all these things, and about 18 months later, I had lost everything. I bought this apartment. I went to the bank in advance and said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to foreclose on this place." And I gave them the keys, and they said, "No, that's not how it works." And I said, "Well, I'm just telling you, I'm not going to pay you, so you could take the apartment now because I have no money." Because so I bought this franchise, and then I started borrowing money and doing these things, and the whole thing collapsed. The franchisor, it was a franchise concept, and they took all the money back to Australia, and so myself and a few others were really got scrapped. But
oh no.
anyhow, long story longer, so now I'm sitting there like, what do I do? And a friend of mine was in the staffing headhunting business, and it says, "You'd be a good recruiter." And I'm like, "What do you do? What do you mean by recruiting?"
Yeah.
"Well, we find people jobs and we get paid for it." And we're like, "What? You get paid to find people jobs?" "Yep." And I'm like, "Okay, sign me up." So I'm broke. I got no money. Got into this thing, and I had the option to take a W-2 style job, or a commissioned position with higher commissions. And through some advice, I said, "Okay, I'll take the commission thing." Like I did. So I just became really good at that industry. And
so are you bringing on big companies to sell people to, or are you?
Yeah, so I would go off and knock on doors.
Okay.
And say, "Hey, you guys looking for people?" "Yes," "No," "Maybe so." And so that's how I was in an agency, and a large agency in Canada. And that's how I grew. I became very good at running a desk in that business, and did that for about 4 years in the agency. And then my entrepreneurial roots, even though I was commissioned, my entrepreneurial roots got going, and then I started my own staffing firm.
Yeah.
And today it's I opened it up in late 06, early 07. Today it's maybe 350 people. We do about 200 million in revenue, and
It's incredible.
In Canada and the US. And so, yeah, that's kind of my story in a longer nutshell.
Yeah.
But and my goal there was to make it different. In every business that you got to bring some differentiation, right? And you got to, what you do is no different from your competition, but how you do it and why you do it is where you're going to find your differentiation.
I love that.
And so I knew I wanted to create an agency, but I wanted to be something different. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was building what's called a platform business. Back in 06, 07, you had Apple bringing out this new sort of app platform.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing that. I didn't know it, but I was building this sort of platform business where I would receive processing fees for every transaction that would happen in the company. And I would pay out the rest to the agents, to the recruiters, to these people. And so I built that up, and my wife and I still own it today 100%. And we kind of bootstrapped the thing, and obviously cash calls come, and you have to be, you got to be on it. But it's good. I've got great talented people at the executive level running the business, and I stepped away from the business about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
So, you said something about you might do things similar to, what you do is similar to someone else, but it's how and why.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed when I was doing a little research on you too, you call your team members you call your team members.
That's right.
And I love that. And so tell me a little bit about how important the culture was in that company.
Culture is everything. And, where the culture goes, so does the company.
Yeah.
And you have to, as an entrepreneur, I underestimated how important a vision was. It's very natural to me. I can see the future with like a Polaroid snapshot. I can see it. my assumption is that everyone else can see it, but they can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to lead with a clear vision of what you want to do, and that vision has to really have that determination of the not so much what you do, but the how and the why. Why are we doing these things? You know, people say, "What do you do?" And I say, "Oh, I build homes in Haiti." You know, I just happen to do it through the staffing recruiting industry kind of thing. And so the why is something that's people will see it in the founder and the entrepreneur, and they'll either be with you or they won't.
Yeah.
And but culture it's everything. You know, when we started this company, it was all about trying to influence people to come and join me, and in a membership style. So I stuck with the member concept, and it's like you know, the credit unions, they have, you're a member of
Yeah,
the
you
credit
remember.
union
Yeah.
kind of concepts, right?
Yeah.
And because people at the end of the day, especially good people to great people, they can do it anywhere they want. And so they have to, you got to create an environment for them to really want to be there.
Yeah.
And I always challenge people. I'm like, you know, go start your own thing. Like if it's not right, like you need to challenge people. Like, we're always going to have problems in the business. It's
Yeah.
just like either have good problems or bad problems. And every problem and every sort of stage you go in business, you're going to solve one problem and a new problem comes. A different problem will emerge because of the size of the organization. And at a new level and a new height of business, you're going to encounter different problems.
Well,
And
especially like you go from, starting out with you and just Vanessa, you and Vanessa to 200 employees. I'm sure there's some real staggered scaling issues in there.
yeah, there was, you know, and it's all kind of, you fake it till you make it, honestly, in many ways. You know, not only are you trying to get members or your staff, or however every entrepreneur wants to call them, you're going on that to gather people who will kind of be with you on the ride. But then you're trying to convince clients to take a shot at you,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, "Who are you?" You know, like
Imposter syndrome at its
yeah,
finest.
that's
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
so we, you know, in the early days of TEEMA, it was we rented out this kind of like Edward Jones office, the boardroom.
Okay.
But we didn't rent, it was free. It was like, oh, they're trying to get clients. So it's like, we'll use that because
Yeah.
we have nothing,
Yeah,
right? We have
right.
no.
Yeah.
And so we go down here, and my whole message to them is like, we just want to be known. And this is an 07, 08. Okay, so envision the time when the financial world is not rotating.
No.
There's no one hiring
Courage.
in 07.
No.
You know,
Yeah. Wall Street's shut down for all
Wall
intents and
Street's
purposes.
shutting down.
Yeah.
Yet we grew every quarter. Quarter over quarter, we grew in top line revenues and bottom line profits. And we grew. If you looked at our over 10, 15 years of our financials, even through COVID, if you looked at our financial statements, it looks like a staircase. Just doot, 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 doot. No peaks, no valleys, just a steady growth, because our entire mission was to empower the members to greatness. That was our entire mission. It wasn't about clients. It wasn't about revenue. It's about, we're going to make you from good to great as a member coming into TEEMA. And that was our genuine mission. And because, you know, much like in real estate or in other industries like this, it can be very transient,
Yeah.
right? So what's going to hook them to stay? And I wanted to create an environment where you could retire here. No more jumping around from one place to the next. Close the back door. Let's solve problems together, and let's call this home forever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the message. You know, I was just recruiting recruiters for the better part of 10 plus years. Now we have a whole department. We call it JTT, the Join the Team department, and they're just, you know, recruiting people all over. So.
Has the turnover remained high in that
Oh yeah,
business?
there's attrition is a good thing. Like you have to have
It lets people move through if they're not the fit, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, and that, don't be afraid of attrition.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what we learned is that we rarely lost great people. It was very, very, we would lose people who thought they could do it, you know, be remote and not have a boss and do these things. And I said, you got to have incredible discipline. And if you're ready to bet on yourself, come on in.
Yeah.
Right. And so I kind of set that expectation with people. But I always told people, I said, you know, TEEMA has a really good long-term strategy for you, but a terrible short-term strategy. You're going to have to come in and work hard and put a plan in place and get it done. And because we just paid higher commissions than everybody else at the end of the day. So these are people who, they're ambitious, they're driven. And I call them the entrepreneur. They're like an entrepreneur within a system.
Yeah.
And that entrepreneurial mindset to come in and do that you're not alone. And that's the culture aspects of you're not alone in the business. You're with like-minded individuals, because I wanted to create that environment I'm like, well, you know, I think I'm kind of normal. Maybe a lot of people would disagree with me, but at least my mindset thinks, and I could attract the same type of people, and that's what I did. So
it's such an aligned thing, you know, just being commission only. It's such an aligned thing with both real estate and mortgage, you know, because it's a very similar thing. Everybody wants to kind of create their own it's entrepreneurial. It's this create your own brand, but yet be part of something and be contributing to, and have the capacity to grow and scale and be sort of supported and even celebrated.
That's right. Yeah. So
love that.
You know, people are motivated by all kinds of things, right? Money and prestige and recognition and different things and stuff. And to be a part of a team is an important thing. And you know, you're going to get cowboys, and I've always said cowboys don't belong here, right? Like, they're good.
They're in Texas.
Yeah, they're in Texas, right? They're in Texas, and I'm one of them. And I said, if you want to start your own agency, go for it. Like, I'm here. Like it can be done, and it's done. I did it, so maybe you could do it too. I mean, but they vastly underestimate the challenges of starting a business.
God, you are
doing that.
Yeah, you're just hitting such a point for me right now. I have a thing going on right now, and this is like it's like you're saying this to me as a coach.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, it really is difficult, and it's people think, oh, Brian, you know, you did it, he did it, I could do those things, and they
make it look easy.
They make it look easy, right? And it's like. And what you really need to do is to you trust and empower people, and to get sort of loyalty. You got to give loyalty and first, and be transparent in what we do, and I'm a transparent to a fault, but I am where I'm at. You know, so I'm every entrepreneur has a business philosophy, you know, and my philosophy was never to build a company around me. And if it was built around me, then I'm a key man issue, right? And so you've got to build it like, if I get hit by a bus, what's the company going to do? Where's the company going to go and grow? And that is a real sure sign of having a business. And like, you know, people get lost in translation of I'm going to start my own thing, but if you're running a desk and you're doing the things, like it's a self-employed type of environment, and there's nothing wrong with that in that way, as long as you know that that's what it is, you know. And the business aspect is when you're not doing the transactions and other people are, and the business is growing, and then you're starting to say it's an entity, it's an entity that will live and die and breathe, and either you have to tame that. You know, it's like a child. Like it's like, get it out of adolescence and be independent. And that's the philosophy I have with every business I have.
Was that the toughest growth move, you think, is getting from that stage of where because you were obviously running a desk in the beginning.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I knew the end in mind. So I knew my exit strategy. And my exit strategy was to erase my name from the org chart entirely. You know, when people come up and say they want to start a business, they get my advice or some ideas. I said, well, the first thing you need to do is to write an org chart of what the company's going to look like in 15 or 20 years from now. Presidents, VPs, directors, salespeople, admin, office, operations, that kind of stuff. And right now in this day, your name is in every single box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my perspective, to grow a business is to erase your name from a box and put someone in there more capable, competent.
Yep.
And you just keep doing that. And it's never going to be perfect, right? You got to trust the system in doing that. And you're always going to hire somebody. You're like, ooh, the utilization of that person's going to be low. But when you're growing and you're really pulling the business towards a goal, that utilization goes up pretty quickly in that individual. And so, and my goal was to erase my name from the org chart entirely.
Yeah.
And you know, I early on in the TEEMA world, I went to this seminar. This guy, it was a breakfast meeting, and I got dragged into this thing, and it was good. He built and sold many businesses, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I went to him, and he talks about exit strategies. And so I went up to him afterwards and talked to him a little bit about what I'm doing. And he asked me, what's your exit strategy? I said, my exit strategy is to, again, erase my name and build a cash cow.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's no shame in doing that. And so every business, every philosophy it's that why. Why is it existence? Why does this company exist?
Yeah.
And the money is a byproduct of things in life. It has to be a byproduct.
Agreed.
And if you're chasing money, you're chasing rainbows.
Yeah.
And it's like, its culture is, you know, it is so much more important, and it will be the lifeblood. It's the oil in the engine. It's everything like that will make and take the company to where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh man, so many nuggets in this thing. And you've mentioned, it's so funny because I had pulled a quote, and it's Jim Collins from Good to Great. And you've mentioned that a couple times. And the quote I pulled was, people are not your most important asset. The right people are, right?
Yes.
And I just, in looking to you, so I don't know if you've mentioned that. I thought it was funny you've mentioned Good to Great.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so Jim Collins, I've got a couple of his books and stuff, but I'm not a big book reader, oddly enough. It's weird. But there's an intuitiveness, either you have it or you don't, I think, in that. But it's there's a lot of it is so important. Right people, right seats. You could have right people in the wrong seats, and it's not good.
No.
Like, it's just so, and that's tricky. You know, you just have to grow, and we're a recruiting headhunting company.
Yeah.
So we're not like. We need outside support as well.
Yeah,
so you'd think we'd have it all together with all the right questions and all the right, workflows and interview process. No,
you got to recruit your own people. So you got
to recruit your own people, and you got to, like, it's just, it is what it is, and you're not going to bat 1,000. And so you want to retain your great people, though. That really is important, because one great person outworks 3 good people.
Yeah.
And when I say outwork, they just outperform is maybe a better word.
So how have you made the leap to, so we've talked obviously about this, the main company, but how have you made the leap to other industries and all that? Because I do love that as well. How do you make those choices, I guess?
So I'll start in, TEEMA is actually the Finnish word for focus. I had a prior company. The name was a different company at the time, and I won't get into that story, but it was different. But it's I wanted to build the company around focus. I knew through my failures of the 90s, if I looked back and debriefed as to why I failed, it was that I had a lack of focus. And like, so I tell people, earn your successes and your setbacks, and own them. And so I went on, at the time it was an iPod, and I typed in the word focus, and for whatever reason the translation app had the Finnish language there, and it said TEEMA, and I'm like, boop, that's it right there. So that's where the TEEMA name came from. And so that sort of parlayed me, just to keep that in as a side note, because focus is so important. And I'm moving along TEEMA. We're growing. We're going into Canada. We're going in the US. Yeah. It's just a rush. People are, I'm helping making millionaires out of people around me, and it's just it's awesome. And
Yeah.
people, then I'd have P Club, and I'd have the top people go down into some resort in Mexico or Cabo San Lucas or something, and new people come up to me and they're like, it's changed your life. It's changed my life. Thank you so much for doing
Incredible.
this. Right?
Yeah,
It's really really cool,
that's cool.
and that never wears off every
Yeah.
year. Um, and but back to my goal of like removing myself from the company. Yes. So I'm now 4 or 5 years ago, I go to the board, right? It's like, well, it's my wife and I owns the company. So it's
Yeah.
not like, well, like, I guess, so my title now, I guess, is founder. And then
Yeah.
I have a president and a COO and some other execs. And now I'm like, so what do I do?
Yeah.
So now I start to parlay into other businesses, and I get into real estate, commercial real estate ownership, and starting some other businesses. I've got a private lending hard money company now, and I've got a title company. And so the problem with that is that I've allowed my entrepreneurialism to kind of run amok, right? And I've got the time and the resources to kind of do that, but I've realized in my brain, and everything that we see in reality was once a thought. Whether it's a pencil, it was some guy's thought process of creating a pencil, and now, so a thought you can bring into reality, and I get thoughts, and I have to bring them into reality. And my wife wishes that I would kind of just, why don't you just retire or do
Yeah.
something other than opening up more businesses? But it's a drug, it's an addiction for me for sure. And that's just parlayed me into these things. And what I've learned though in some of these businesses, because is one, you have to be passionate for them,
Yeah.
and a purpose and that why. And then as you grow, I always want to grow all my entities. Critical mass is a thing that is real.
Yeah.
And so you have to get a certain critical mass before you can step out. And so I've been starting these businesses with other people with the intention of them leading it and building it. And I'm doing it too fast. What I found is that some of them are going up, but they're not. I still need to be involved with them, right? I pulled out a little earlier saying, okay, well, why aren't we growing here? Why aren't we doing this? And it's the realization is that they need a visionary, right?
Yeah.
They need somebody that can see that. And it's, I always tell people, if you play the long game, you win.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yep.
If you play the short game,
You're in and out of things.
you're in and out.
Yeah.
And if you play the long game, you win. You're going to go success, as you've seen this sort of squiggly line. That success isn't like this.
No.
Success is like,
All
it
of
looks like this, and then it kind of does that.
Totally.
That's what real success is.
Yeah.
And
And to your point too, I mean, you're talking about joining up with people, and partnerships are hard because the other partner, it's not your wife. It's not your wife anymore. It just, because Jason and I are similar in that vein, where when we're doing something together, we got some businesses that are partnerships, and their life comes up. And that's okay, right? It's okay. You want to be a good, but that's like it goes back to just being the long game, because if you're going to have these kind of relationships.
Yeah, it's so true. It's partnerships. Obviously, it can work because it happens and it's out there. But I think when you're going into a partnership in a business, one of the first things that you need to do is you write down an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, and then write job descriptions, duties and responsibilities for each partner.
Yep.
Who's got what. And the value that you're bringing, and making sure that if it's an unequal value, because typically it is, the appropriate levels of revenue and or ownership needs to be in place as well. So it's kind of I've taken I'm an opportunistic entrepreneur, like where opportunities will come to me now, right? And it's like a magnetism of life, and you just, now I'm saying, okay, well, I want to continue more. I got 2 more businesses that I'm coming online here second half of this year, and I've convinced my wife somehow that it'll be good. This is good. And she's like,
Oh, it's gonna be fun to
yeah,
have lunch with Vanessa.
yeah, I married up on that one. She's good. I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Because TEEMA wouldn't exist without Vanessa. I might have been on the forefront, but she cleaned up my messes.
Yeah.
She was without her, and everyone knows it in the company.
Yeah. That's good. That's healthy.
Yes,
You know,
yeah,
it's healthy.
very much so.
You've got two daughters. I actually like aligned almost to my daughter's ages. So
Hmm.
we've got a 20-year-old and a,
Yeah, 19 turning 20, so and then 16. So
okay.
they're 3 years apart, almost like 10 by 10 days.
Okay.
So yeah, she just turned 19. She's turning 20 in February. But yeah, they're great. We're actually moving down here on a full time because we disappear in the summers and stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, for the last 2 3 years, we've gone back to Canada. So they've gone to school. We're actually making the trip down and changing our work visas because my work visa is an e-visa. It's called. I can stay down here as long as I'm employing Americans. They're
Okay.
going to keep me. You
I
know,
see.
Uncle Sam loves me and does that thing.
Okay.
But my girls, they're on an E1 visa, and when they turn 21, they're not going to be able to work or do the things that they want to do down here, and they love this country. And so I said, well, I talked to my immigration lawyer, and I said, what's the process? And we would change this visa, and it's a long process, but we would get eventually a green card, and then
Okay.
from our green card, we would get
So it makes a dual citizenship for you guys.
yeah, like once we put the hand on the Bible, yeah,
Yeah.
we're like that's a 5 year sort of venture.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to apply in the fall,
Yeah.
and then we're not allowed to leave the country actually for
Oh,
like
wow.
8 months. They have our passports, and then after 6 to 8 months, we get what's called an EAD. It's an employer authorization document for all four of us,
Okay.
and then they're able to work. They're able to kind of do these things. I
Okay.
mean, I could set up a business and they could do an E1 for them, and I could just say do that, I guess. But
Yeah.
now they're going to get a green card. So after the EAD, about a year and a half after that card, they give us our travel documents back.
You
So
can go
then we
back
can
to,
then we can
yeah.
kind of move
Yeah.
anywhere and do whatever. And then about 18 months from that point, we get our green cards, and then away we go. So
That's cool.
yeah, really excited about
I
that.
mean,
We're all really
that's
excited
really
about
neat.
that.
What a great, because you've really shown them like no boundaries, truly, like literally no boundaries on like where you build legacy, how you do it, what you
Yeah.
do. You know,
Well, that's the
it's pretty
thing.
awesome.
Yeah, and we kind of tricked the system when I like came down in 07 08 actually when I started building TEEMA. I still had the vision. I'm like, nope, going to come down here for 6 months. I'm going to do it up there. So when I built TEEMA, flexibility and was a key
Yeah.
pillar of the organization. And I'm like, I tell people you could work in Australia, you could do whatever you want. Um, Success determines a certain amount of commitment and inputs and outputs. Um, but you can kind of do it anywhere. And I was not going to be hypocritical to that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be agnostic to where I worked and where I lived. And of course, I couldn't stay down here at the time for more than 6 months. They kicked me out of the country.
Yeah.
So I'd come down from January to May, and my girls would go to a Montessori school.
Okay.
And then we'd go back in at the end of May long weekend and do a semester up there. And then in January, we'd repeat that.
That's cool.
So
It's
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always telling my girl, you said, start with a piece of paper and put your org chart, but your life works very similarly.
Yes.
And I think, talking to our kids about legacy and what they're going to do or be or whatever, it's like, well, design your life, put it in, build out a plan. And
Absolutely.
it doesn't have to look like mine or yours or anybody else's.
Everyone's different. And I always tell, and it starts with the little things like plan your life, but then plan your day. Get up each day, write down your goals for the day. What are you going to achieve? What are you going to do? And get that rhythm and cadence going down on a regular basis. And so important, success is person relative, right?
Yeah.
So your definition of success is going to be different from mine, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's common though is failure. Like that's, the definition of that is, and there's some common denominators in that. So I'm a firm believer of the choices that we make are, determine where we go in life and in what we do. And you're not going to always make the right choices,
Yeah.
right? But you fail forward in
Yeah.
life, and but have goals and plans. And my problem is that I live in the future, right? My brain lives in the future. Vanessa
Yeah.
always kind of reminds me to, today's a good day, isn't it,
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah.
Like, right, right, but I literally forget the past in many ways.
Yeah.
It's I have a hard time. I'm thinking I'm a sure candidate for Alzheimer's, I guess, because I don't have the brain space capacity to think about the past, although I learn from it, but I don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
And it's you just kind of move on,
Yeah.
right? And but planning that, life and business, they're pretty synonymous,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can be successful in both, and have your cake and eat it too. It's a
Yeah.
good thing.
True definition of legacy, right? Like you're kind of doing this as you're building as you're going and living very fully.
And it's an amazing thing. Like legacy it's a great word. I love the name of the podcast, because in many ways you don't know you're building a legacy in the day. But when people have come up to me over the years at our sales conferences or at a P club in the company, and they've never met me, and they're kind of they're all nervous or whatever. I'm like, you don't have to be nervous around me, first of all. But it's like,
Yeah.
and they just said, it's changed my life. This whole, this company, I didn't think I could do this. I'm like, listen, you took the chance, you bet on yourself, and you did this. So give yourself a pat on the back. I mean, I might have been a puzzle piece, but a puzzle piece that I am, and that's it. And so, but that legacy is about, leaving that for other people. Legacy is an expansion of, it's more than yourself,
Yeah.
right? And so, and sometimes you just don't know it. Sometimes, we're all greedy and all these things, and but if you give, it's better to give than receive.
Yeah.
And it's a very true statement.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes,
Mhm.
but because some people will abuse that.
Yeah.
And but it shouldn't stop you from continuing to do it.
No, I 100% agree with that. I love that so much. One of the big things that I focus on as a founder of my companies is mindset, and I think again it goes back to like it's hard. I'm in the mortgage business in the
Mm-hmm.
lending space, and it goes through cycles, obviously, just like any
Yeah.
you do too.
Mm-hmm.
But and you're in the lending spaces too with the private side, and it goes up and down, and the rates, when we started, they were at 18 on the private lending, and
Yeah.
now they're at 10 or 12 or something. But it's funny. Mindset is like the one thing I really try to instill. I mean, how important? I guess twofold question. How important is mindset? I could tell when you said if you think it, it's going to happen, right?
Yes.
Big. And then two, you worked with so many people. What traits do you really value? Because you're talking about like seeing that. What are the traits you value most?
The virtues, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, as we all know that, right?
Yeah.
That saying, and you have to, in any industry, it doesn't really matter. Like every industry has its ups and downs. And when I started building TEEMA, you got to remember too, it was back in 07, 08, it was like the list of people not working and trying to find jobs. Like why would a company need an agency to find people?
So many
Think about
people
that,
available,
right?
Yeah.
And yet we grew every quarter. We grew, and the mindset was, don't worry about the competition. Know where you're going. Have very clear vision of the mountaintop, and just work, and just get at it. Don't. I think a lot of people can get caught up in like, oh, what is the market doing? What is the market doing? And the market's not doing that. I'm like, I dictate the market.
Yeah.
The market is dictated by me. Meaning, it's not an arrogant thing. It's more like, in mortgages, as an example, there are, how many mortgages happen in Maricopa County? Thousands, every month. Okay.
Yep.
So your number is a small number compared to the thousands. So it should have no impact.
Right.
You just have to maybe work harder, maybe work smarter, bringing some other tools. But the market it's not a market thing.
Right.
You're just going to take away competition from your competition. It's there. So that it's a mindset, and mindset is number one. but you have to believe that too, and just go forward knowing that it's there. And okay, you're going to need to add 3 or 4 no's to get a yes, or that mindset of like, you might have to do that. Okay, it will be different from what it was in the past.
Yeah.
Yes, that's okay. So but the activities that you do will determine, you'll get the outcomes, and you might have to do more of the activities or different of them, but they're there.
Yeah.
My top billers, the market is changing with AI, and there's this sort of doom and gloom about AI. It's going to take away all these jobs and do these things, and it's just going to change. It's going to pivot. People will lose their jobs from by people with AI. So if AI it's a productivity tool, so jobs will be replaced by jobs by people will be replaced by people with AI.
Yeah.
And so the embracement of that in some capacity is going to need to happen, and we're doing that in our staffing company, and then our title and escrow company. We're going to do that as well, just bringing in a lot of AI, not to replace people, but with the mindset of making them highly productive.
Right.
Highly productive.
Take away the.
Yeah. So regardless of the market, the business is there, and because the window might shrink, but it shouldn't impact, because we're all kind of small business in many ways.
Yeah.
TEEMA does 200 million revenue. We're nothing burger in the U.S. We've got a footprint here, but our competitions are multi billionaires, $billion companies, and so it's there. You just have to look at it differently and have that right mindset. So.
Yeah. I love it. I love this. Thank you so much for sharing so much about your life and your business. Are you excited? You're really getting entrenched in our community here in
Very
Litchfield
much
Park.
so. Yeah, I got some great things. Love Litchfield Park.
Yeah.
I've got some really cool projects coming to Litchfield Park in a commercial perspective, and
those that don't know you, I do want to throw so you own the park. It's called Litchfield Park Plaza, right? The whole center where the anybody who knows.
Yeah, that's right.
you know, but it's the part
that whole complex.
The whole complex.
And so we got some good things coming.
Yeah.
And that'll be announced here shortly. And I've got another project I'm doing in Litchfield Park, commercial, that's kind of a car garage, kind of a man cave car garage concept that we're doing. I kind of like cars, so it's a place where I'd like to hang out. So I'm going to build it for that. So,
I like it. Yeah. Is this like a men only club?
No, it's going to be.
Don't be trying to box me out here, Brian.
There's going to be. It's like it's a 5-acre parcel, and there'll be 120 garages, and you can buy these garages and put your cars in there. But the cool thing is we're going to be bringing a clubhouse with a showroom. The clubhouse will be about 7,000 square feet. The showroom will be where people can put their cars in the showroom, and it'll be all glass. And the clubhouse will be cigar lounge, a conference room.
You have an event there.
Golf simulator, events and stuff like that. It'll be membership kind of driven and stuff like that. So.
Amazing. I love
that's gonna be fun.
Okay,
so
that sounds like a more of a. Vanessa says I have to do something fun to retire.
Yeah, that's a fun thing. And then of course,
fun.
where my brain goes, I'll put 20 across the country, and we'll start with here at Litchfield Park. And
we need that though. We need that out here. That's the kind of thing we need. Some more of that like club engagement. Where people aren't having to drive to Scottsdale to.
Yeah,
to get
I bought some property up in Anthem, and just to drag this along, but I built a thing called the Bearded Barber up in Anthem, and it's sort of this speakeasy that had a 5-chair barber chair and with a secret door back into the bar.
Oh man!
And I've my GMs have bought me out of that, so they're running it up there. But it was all membership. A lot of it was membership to come in and stuff like that. So kind of want to bring that to Litchfield Park. There's a lot of guys that are not happy that I did it up there first, but we'll see what I can do.
We're excited. I'm just happy to be working with you now and. A part of the TEEMA family, I guess.
Yes, welcome. Yes, very much. So very much happy to have you guys in the complex. And it's so your commute is a little shorter, I guess.
Block.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes,
It's
Stacy.
you've obviously done amazing, huge accomplishments, and it's really you're someone I look up to, and I think it's really cool for you to share your story like this with my whole audience. So thank you.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course.
it.
For those of you interested in learning more about TEEMA, we're going to have show notes below with all the links to Brian's bio and his companies. And then right here locally, of course, the stuff that's going on, we'll post some of that information as well, including TEEMA title. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.